G'day guys, welcome to 2024. This is a brand new series of workshops here at Carolina Family Spine Center, and we're really excited to present to you tonight, Adjusting to the New Year. The new year brings a whole lot of things in regards to it all. It brings you so much joy and passion about what can be and what can become. And so tonight we're going to be talking about how to adjust to that based on your stresses that are going through your life and how chiropractic care can help. So let's get started. All right, understanding the brain-body connection. Hooray, the holidays are over. I know for me, it was a lot of excitement and a lot of fun, but at the end of the day, it was a lot of stress. There were so many moving parts, getting to grandmom's house, getting over to this person's place for dinner, work parties, the whole big day itself. Did I get the right gift? Will they like it? All that holiday stress builds up. It comes down to a new year, new goals, and new everything. Now, a lot of the time when people have these new aspirations and these new year, revelations that they want to try and bring into their life, a big time about it is that there's failure to it. Now, I know that fact that I've been experiencing it. I know you have too. However, along with it, your body takes the brunt of that elevated stress, okay? Because stress is going to impact your system when all those New Year's revelations has come along or New Year's resolutions have come along and it's starting to impact it, and it elevates stress in your system and it manifests itself mentally and emotionally that can turn physical. All right, that's what understanding the brain body connection is all about. So we have these big lofty goals, some of them huge, some of them just minute little tweaks, little changes that go along with our systems or our lives that we want to make 2024 the best year that we possibly can. Sometimes that can turn to stress and that can manifest and from a mental and emotional turn into a physical stress, and I'm going to break that down for you just a little bit. Stress by the numbers, okay? The American Institute of Stress reported that job stress is a major source of stress in people's lives, with 40% of workers starting their job stating that their job is very, very stressful. The economic burden of stress related in healthcare is ginormous. Okay, look at this number just here. $300 billion annually is lost based on stress in the workplace. Now, there's these small tweaks that we're looking to make in regards to it when it comes to our New Year's resolutions. However, there's a massive, massive impact if you want to be able to achieve them, knowing the fact that 40% of stress, 40% of Americans have stress related to their work life, and that stress then impacts their workplace, and then workplace has work loss productivity to the tune of $300 billion annually, which again manifests itself into a mental stress, because when you're not doing well with work, then it might impact your relationship with your boss, for instance, or the productivity of your work, which can then impact to your home life, which can then impact to your physical life, like wanting to exercise or eat well, and it can all trickle down. It's a connection. It's a staggered way. Ronald Reagan had trickle down economics. All right, I thought that Ronald Reagan got chiropractic because he learned about trickle down theory. Okay, all these things are trickling down when it comes to chiropractic care as the solution, because all that manifestation of the stresses that are mental that become physical can be corrected by chiropractic care. It's all relating to this though, fight or flight, okay? Your system is impacted by stress, okay? Your nervous system is impacted from stress. Now, I related to the fact of that trickle down economics by Ronald Reagan in the 80s, okay? Everything was going to be filtered down throughout it. Well, this is the same relationship with your body, and I'm going to break that down. The body's natural physiological reaction to acute stress is fight or flight, or your sympathetic nervous system. All right, you've heard of the fact of your body going into a fetal position when you're stressed out, you hunch over, you crunch down. That is a neurological response to stress. Now, stress can manifest in many things, and I outlined them before: mental, emotional, physical stress, work life, family life, politics, economics, food intake, alcohol. It can be a multitude of things. The stress response of your body, it responds to that through hormones that target muscles and glands, causing the body to speed up and tense, become alert. That's the stress response. Your body then goes through a number of changes. Your muscles that are going to be needed start to tense up. Your heart rate increases. Your hormones start to be released quicker, particularly cortisol and adrenaline, which are your big supplements that, supplemental hormones that get pumped into your nervous system to say, we're in a stress state. Let's help ourselves out. With that being the case, a lot of things shut down. Okay, you can't have everything at 100%. Other things that aren't important have to shut down. So that's like your immune system, your digestive system, reproductive system, all the inessential hormones during that stress state. However, there has to be a counterbalance to that. That's your parasympathetic, rest and digest. It's got to bring you back down. All right, you can't be at 100% all the time. It has to bring your body back down to a certain point. So it does the opposite. It balances and maintains the systems to get back to homeostasis or even. The body undergoes several specific responses when the parasympathetic is initiated. Your saliva is increased, digestive system enzymes are released, your heart rate drops, subbronchial tubes start to relax. So it calms your body back down, comes out of that fetal state, out of that stress response. Now, I tell you that because the way that your body has to work is that there's got to be a balance of it, okay? Imbalances from stress cause you impact, and I mentioned that before. This is that trickle-down economics I talked about. Cortisol releases during stress, the body's natural response to perceive a mental threat or mental capacity of stress. So let's use an example, okay? Things aren't going well at work, and your boss comes steaming in and throws the paper on your desk and says, hey, we are down 20% from last year. What's going on? Fix it quickly. You got 2 weeks. It's a pretty big mental stress, right? Your body then perceives that as a threat. With that being the case, it impacts the body, causing a physical response across a multitude of systems. Your body said this is a stress state mentally. So it said, okay, let's release cortisol and adrenaline because that's our natural response to try and get through something that's stressful and get this out of our system. However, cortisol and adrenaline are very, very powerful. They break down muscle tissue, they cause inflammation. And so with that being the case, it takes that mental capacity stress and turns it into a physical response. So then along with that sort of stuff, that's why I say trickle down. Stress mentally becomes a physical response. The physical response manifests into pain. So think about that. It's that trickle down theory that we're mentioning from a mental stress turn into a physical response that turns into pain. So that is the biggest question of why I ask when new patients come in is, okay, you came in here with pain. Let's talk about the stuff up top. All right. That's why I talk about stress, fatigue, energy, sleep. All those things have to come in regards to it because those are the things that get impacted based upon that manifestation of the physical response, which is your lower back pain. All right. Stress in the musculoskeletal system. When I mentioned before about how it hits those multiple systems, this is what it does. There's an increase in muscle tension, leading to aches and pains, aggravation of existing or rise of new conditions like tension headaches, sleep disturbances, migraines, and it exacerbates musculoskeletal disorders such as neck and back pain. So let's think about that for the case. The fact that mental or emotional stress that just came into your life causes causes a chemical response through those big powerful hormones, cortisol and adrenaline. And then that manifests into a musculoskeletal system stress, pain. I'll give you another example. Cardiovascular. We just mentioned before, when sympathetic nervous systems rise, so does the heart rate. Elevated blood pressure due to heightened adrenaline levels. Increased risk of heart problems and cardiovascular diseases. And changes in the heart rate and potential disruptions in heart rhythm. Again, mental state, mental stress, causing physical response, causing a system change. Trickle down chiropractic. Or better me, trickle down neurology. Give you another one. Stress in the immune system. Have you ever been stressed out and then you get sick? I bet you have. All right, it happens a lot. A weakened immune response, making the body more susceptible to illness. Slower wound healing and recovering from infections. And chronic stress may cause some autoimmune disorders. Go back to it. Think mental, turning to chemical, turning to a physical response. I'll keep preaching it. That is the trickle-down neurology of what stress does to the system. So when we're relating it back to the new year, we have these big intentions and these huge goals, and I'm so supportive of everyone that has them with their New Year's resolutions. Without the proper tools in order to correct this, it can manifest into a mental state, to a chemical release, to a physical response. I'll give you another one. Stress in the digestive system. Disruption of normal digestive processes leading to issues like indigestion and heartburn. But you never thought about that. Increased risk of IBS or other gastro problems. And changes in appetite leading to overeating and undereating. So I'll give you the other example, okay? We're going back to our boss who just threw that thing on our desk and he turned around and he said, fix it in 2 weeks, okay? Mental stress kicked in, chemical response kicks in, physical response kicks in. With that being the case, what do? Comfort food. All right. I'm not, the fittest bloke in the world, but at the end of the day, I do like a good pizza every now and again, but it's a comfort food, right? We know that probably having pizza for the rest of our life for every meal is not the best thing. So our overeating occurs. We go to comfort food, the double stuffed Oreos that's sitting in the cabinet. We go for that thing that's going to help us get back to a state of calm response. You get what I'm trying to say? How mental stress turns to a chemical response, turns to a physical response. Trickle down neurology. All right. Stress in the endocrine system. This is something that people don't really talk about, okay? Release of stress hormones such as cortisol and adrenaline. Dysregulation of hormone balances affecting metabolism and energy levels. Increased risk of hormonal disorders and imbalances. So let's think about that. Mental stress, chemical response, physical manifestation. All right. So that's talking about the endocrine system, the hormones. Do you realize the fact that I've asked you or gone through, pardon me, how every one of those things has gone through with what I talk about with a new patient in chiropractic care? Lower back pain was the first one, okay, when it came to the musculoskeletal system. But then that's why I always ask about energy levels, stress, fatigue, and sleep, let alone the fact of how you're manifesting all those other things of the system, such as your digestive system, which is your overeating, which obviously gives people fatigue, energy levels fail, they start to think a bit worse themselves, things like that. When it comes to heart rate goes up when it comes to the cardiovascular system because of a mental stress that turned to a chemical response that manifested into a physical natured pain. So all that stuff relates to what I talk about when it comes to chiropractic care when a new patient comes in. Trickle down neurology, and there's one thing that can help with it all. The problem today is that people are constantly stressed. It's like being in a state of flight or fight all the time, and the brain hyperexcited in a sympathetic state so you can't ever come back to baseline. You can't live in two places at once, all right? You're always in a state of fight or flight, which puts you in a defensive mode, means you're not living in a state of health, healing, and adaptability. It's like driving with the handbrake on. You can't be going down the highway with a handbrake on because you're just going to crash. And that's what I'm talking about when it comes to trickle-down neurology. Trickle-down neurology, mental capacity stress turns to chemical response, manifests into physical natured response throughout every system, musculoskeletal, endocrine, hormonal, digestive, cardiovascular, all those responses come through it, which again impacts your lofty goals of the new year. And so how do we align this new year? Well, spine health, big one. Getting checked for subluxations and misalignments, okay? The top bone of our neck, C1 or the atlas bone, is so important. It regulates so much. Stress, fatigue, sleep, energy levels, all sitting here in the first bone of our neck. It directly affects GABA production. GABA production is what helps us sleep, which helps us get us back to a parasympathetic state, which was that resting state, that baseline, that homeostasis level. And what happens if it's not cleared out is it causes chronic stress, lack of sleep, adrenal fatigue, and lead to a whole level of physical manifestations within the body. Other things you can do to align yourself this new year is stress management, meditation and yoga. I know back in the day it was, that phony stuff about deep breathing, all that sort of thing. It really does help. All right, it really does. Taking 5 minutes in the day and just going through your highs of the day and your highs of the day is something that is so important in order to manifest yourself back from a sympathetic state to a parasympathetic state. Mental capacity, but going back to a parasympathetic response from there. All it takes is 5 minutes to go through what a high was and a high was for yourself. You can write it down, you can talk it out with your partner, just reflect. It's amazing what will happen, how you can take yourself from that sympathetic state of stress, the handbrake on all the time, to just calming it back down by allowing yourself back into that parasympathetic. What we eat is important, okay? Omega-3s is going to help in regards to your stress hormones. Green leafy vegetables full of magnesium, counters the stress response by boosting your immune system and lowering blood pressure. And comfort foods for satisfaction, try to level those off. All right. Exercise and sunlight is a huge one. It takes a simple walk. All right. Vitamin D helps boost the immune system and decrease stress on the nervous system. Helps reduce insomnia, stress, anxiety, and OCD, and can be as simple as a walk around the block. It's amazing what a breath of fresh air will do. And that sounds like a cliche, but it's so true. Just a little bit of walking, a little bit of outside, sit down outside, and you can go through your highs and your highs for the day. Take yourself from that sympathetic state to that parasympathetic state. Some questions to ask yourself though, and this is why I always ask new patients. Can your stress simmer and build without you even knowing it? Do you need some sort of alarm or trigger to notice it? And lastly, what if we could find out ahead of time to not let them affect us? So what I'm going to tell you about is yes, yes, and yes we can. All right. And it goes back to that trickle down neurology. Mental capacity stress causing a chemical response, manifesting in a physical nature that is going to affect the system within yourself. And then with that, not allowing you to achieve your goals for the new year. The answer is yes, it can turn from a mental to a physical or a physical to a mental stress. That's what aches and pains are when you get that trigger or alarm. Okay, it's a physical alarm that you yourself are stressed, that you need to have a change, that something is going wrong. And lastly, yes, we can. And that's what the cool thing about chiropractic care is that it can find out when stresses are arising through what we call our subluxation station scans. And I'm going to show you in regards to that. Here is an example of a patient of ours, 38 years old, with tension headaches, sleep disruption, and energy fatigue. All right. This was her response after 6 weeks of care. As you can see, she had improved sleep, increased range of motion, pain relief, and improved quality of life. And all that was because she came in with these things: tension headaches, sleep disruption, and energy fatigue by going under chiropractic care. So we had that trickle down neurology, right? Mental capacity stress leading to a stress response that leads into a manifestation of a physical nature that is your aches and pains, your sleep disruption, your energy levels. Do you know what the solution to it all was? If A plus B plus C is there, well, on the other side is obviously the solution, and that's chiropractic care. And that was her responses after 6 weeks of care. Here is her scans, all right? Now I'm going to walk you through it. Here on the left-hand side is what you're seeing is her first scan when we first met her. I got a baseline score of what was going on when it came to temperature disruption, okay? I took a little device and I scanned up the spine, and it showed temperature disruptions within her system. Take a bone, it goes left or right, up and down, it gets out of misalignment. It's causing temperature reflection from that point. As you can see, upstairs was affecting it, particularly C1. C1, I told you before, regulates a lot of stuff: headaches, sleep, fatigue, energy levels. Look what happened after the fact when it came to her score. So it was an 83, it went up to an 86. As you can see, the temperature, which is designed by this red line over here, has completely shifted to a white. All right, the temperature shift has been remarkable. Particularly, I want you to see when it comes to that sympathetic state and parasympathetic state, those are part of your nervous system. They have to live somewhere. Parasympathetic lives in the top part of your neck and down below. Sympathetic nervous system is regulated through the mid-back into the lower back. Now what you can see is disruptions, right? I mentioned that before when it came to thermal. As you can see, the red here and the green and blue down here show disruptions in the parasympathetic. So her parasympathetic nervous system is not responding, which means that she can't come from a stress state back down to a parasympathetic state, which is our rest state. After the care, you can see here, all that has calmed down, all through chiropractic care. I'll show you her muscle scan, okay? So we did an EMG. As you can see, similar nature. You've got a lot of stress response, or pardon me, a lot of parasympathetic interruption upstairs and downstairs. A score of 37. 6 weeks later, after chiropractic care, scores up to a 79. Still a little bit present, however, not as much drastically. As you can see on the numbers, 187 and 212% happening upstairs, reducing it down to 39 and 25. Same down here in the lower back, it started to correct itself down, taking the raw score of 37 up to a 79. Lastly is her HRV scan. All right, this is a heart rate variability scan. Now, the cool thing about this is that it shows us if you're in a stress state or a parasympathetic state, okay, or I should say stress or rest state. On top, you can see just on here, there's a little white dot. Ideally, we want to see this little white dot sitting in the green, a nice balance between parasympathetic and sympathetic states. She is laying in a sympathetic state here on this left-hand side. 6 weeks later, come back and rescan. She is sitting in what is known as the parasympathetic state, the rest state. So her body was in a stressed environment the whole time that manifested into temperature changes and increased muscle tension, which caused tension headaches, sleep disruptions, and energy fatigue. I go back to it again. Trickle down neurology, mental capacity stress, leading to a chemical response manifesting in a physical nature that affects our system, which to her was tension headaches, sleep disruption, energy fatigue. What you will see on this scan, pardon me, is you'll see here her raw score was an 80 in a sympathetic state. After 6 weeks of chiropractic care, she went up to an 85 and she's in a parasympathetic state. Her body was able to bounce back, was able to get that teeter-totter effect between stress and rest and get it towards the rest side of it that allows her to not have these symptoms kick in, which allowed her to have this response after care, saying that she had pain relief, increased sleep, increased range of motion, and improved quality of life. Overall, our biggest thing that we're trying to say is that this new year is trying to get your body to counteract in relation to those mental capacity stresses that are leading to a physical response. And the answer to that is chiropractic care. And so what I say to patients all the time is to activate your power. You can go a month without water. You can go days without, you can go a month without food. You can go days without water. You can go minutes without air, but you can't go 1 second without nerve supply. If you want to achieve your goals, your New Year's resolutions, and be aligned to this new year, chiropractic care is the answer. I can't wait to see so many more of you for our workshop series this year. We have so much more planned. I can't wait to share with you so many more videos as we go forward for 2024. Let's make this the best year for you.